Hi, my name is Grant Shipman. I am the founder of Living Smith, and I'm part of the Living Smith teaching team. Living Smith teaches and practices the gold standard in co-living property management and investing. I'm going to cover what is a magic weapon in purchasing a house to be a co-living rental. So this is key. If you want to purchase a house to be a co-living rental, what are some few things that we're not going to cover in this podcast, in this lesson? Well, one is we're not covering financial criteria. We're not covering functional criteria. So financial criteria is you need to make sure that the house you buy is going to make you money and make you enough money that you're glad you bought it, right? Functional criteria is that that house has enough bedrooms, has enough bathroom to bedroom ratio, has enough parking, all of these things. That's a functional criteria. We're not covering either of those. What we are covering is a secret weapon. It's magic in how to finance a property. So if you've learned about house hacking, if you haven't, Google it. House hacking, what it means is if you have a $100,000 house and you buy it as a rental property, you need to put at least 20% down. That's $20,000. However, if you buy that house as a primary resident, meaning that somebody on the loan is going to live in that house as their primary resident for at least the first 12 months, then you can put down a 5% down payment, sometimes as low as 3.5% or even 0% down payment. These are all 30-year fixed loans, keep in mind. So with a 5% down payment, that's only going to be $5,000 for that same house that cost $100,000. So what does that mean? Well, that means that one, you need $15,000 less dollars to buy a house, right? $5,000 rather than $20,000. Or it could mean if you have $20,000, hey, now you can buy 4 houses for the price of 1, right? But how do we do that? So in typical house hacking, what happens is somebody buys a house, they move into it, they rent out the rooms. Sounds like co-living, right? But it's not. They have a heck of a time, right? Because renting out the rooms, they don't know how to manage a co-living property. And their one goal is to rent out the rooms enough to cover the mortgage those first 12 months. And then they kick everybody out. And then they turn that into a traditional rental where there's one lease on that one house that costs $100,000. And then at that point, so after 12 months, then they buy another house that they can move into, all legally, all according to mortgage contract, and they can get another $100,000 house for only a $5,000 down payment. Now, for those of you who know what house hacking is, this was a simple recap. If you don't know what it is, any of that was confusing, just Google it. There's lots of books on it. It's fantastic. Co-living magic weapon is this. Co-living makes so much money. This is what you can do, is you can syndicate or you can team people to purchase multiple houses a year, really an unlimited number of houses. Each time you purchase, you need to cover 4 roles, right? So we teach this in our toolkit on financing and purchasing co-living properties. So this is a little sneak peek into some of the lessons in there. So you need 4 roles. The first is you need a primary resident, right? If you're going to get primary resident financing, 5% down instead of 20% down, you need somebody who's willing to be on the loan and to live in the property for the first 12 months. Second thing is you need to be able to qualify for the loan. So that's also a role, right? So somebody needs to live in the house. Somebody needs to qualify for the house, the loan for the house. Another one is somebody needs to have the cash, right? It still takes $5,000 down or whatever that 5% down payment is. You still need to furnish the house, right? You still need to do a number of things for the house. So typically this is going to cost maybe $15,000, right? So you need somebody who has the cash, right? So primary resident, loan qualifying, cash. And then the fourth role is somebody who runs it all, right? They're going to property manage. They're going to run the entire deal. If you're listening to this, this might be you, right? So you're going to bring these roles together, this person. They're going to make sure the whole deal goes well. They're going to make sure there's great property management on it. And that property, they're going to get a whole house that's really works as an investment property because it's making them money. but it gets primary resident financing. Holy moly. That means you can get, for every rental house you normally would get, you could get 4 houses. Now, is there any limit on how many times this can be done in a week, in a month, in a year? No. You just need to make sure you have all of these roles, right? All of these roles could just be filled by one person. Think of them as 4 hats, 4 roles. One person could put on 4 hats. You might be somebody who could live in the house for 12 months, who qualifies for the loan for the house, who has the cash to get the house, or maybe you can ask friends or family who love you, and you're the one who's going to run the entire deal. You're going to be the manager, right? That might be the case. Or the person who these 4 hats might be worn by not just one person, but 2 people. It might be worn by 3 people. But you understand, these are just 4 needs to get this property. And so you can continue to bring together teams. This is what I did. For my first 7 properties, I never brought a single cent to the deal. I just brought together teams and everybody wins. Holy smokes. Now, why would people want to team together? Well, it's because they bring something, right? They're filling those 4 roles, but they also take away something. So how do you motivate people to team together to get this property? Well, that can be answered a lot of different ways. And we get into that more in the toolkit. But just to say, now you have learned the magic weapon in how to team together and use a house hacking strategy in a hyper accelerated way. We call it beyond house hacking, or house hacking 2.0. And this is key. You can use it at any point where you're at. If you have 500 properties, you can use it to buy another property. If you've never bought a single property, you can use it to buy your first property. In fact, in an expansion I'm doing right now in El Paso, we can either buy a house that takes $94,000 because we don't have a primary resident, or we can get a house that takes $15,000 because we have a primary resident, right? We know both cash flow. We know both are awesome. That's why we're getting 20 properties right away. But if you use this house hacking 2.0 strategy, this magic strategy of co-living acquisition, you will hyperdrive your portfolio growth while minimizing your cash needs. I hope that helps. Go live your co-living daydreams.